Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for WWE NXT UK for May 22nd, 2019, and this was episode 44. And this was the episode, this was the long-awaited rematch between Pete Dunne and Walter. What did I think about it? Well, you gotta watch the end of the video to find out. So, we have the commentary team of Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph, and the show kicked right off with the match. It was a WWE United Kingdom Championship Fatal 4-Way Number 1 Contenders qualifying match. Travis Banks versus Joseph Connors, and I actually thought this was a really good match here. I really enjoyed it. They start off by doing some nice chain grapples to each other. Travis Banks gets the advantage early, hits a clothesline out of the ring and then a drop kick. But then eventually Joseph Connors sends Travis Banks back first into the apron, and then he hits a snake eyes into the steps, which was pretty cool. It was something different I'd never seen before. And Joseph Connors just puts it back in the wind and lays in right hands right onto Travis Banks. And he dominates the matchup for a while, which I really liked. He really maliciously picks apart Travis Banks, but then Travis Banks wants to come back. He hits a really cool drop kick right to the across the back while Joseph Connors is in the turnbuckle. Travis Banks hits a suicide dive, injuring his knee, and he tries to go for the win, but doesn't get it. And then Joseph Connors hits a springboard bulldog into the sunset flip into the turnbuckles, but doesn't get the win off of that. And then Travis Banks hits the I always forget the name of this move, but it's basically a springboard spin kick off the turnbuckles, and then the Kiwi Crusher for the win. But yeah, they even did some other things in this match. They exchanged roll-ups on each other. That Joseph Connors, I thought, was going to get the win with a wicked clothesline. But yeah, makes sense for Travis Banks to get the win in this match because, you need to kind of balance out the four-way matches with faces and heels. And, everyone in the match other than Dave Mastiff was a heel. So you kind of needed to have Travis Banks go in there. Plus, he has a history with Joe Coffey and not Ligero, Jordan Devlin, so it makes sense for him to, be in the match. And yeah, I mean, it really sucks for Joseph Connors because I actually, think he can be used a lot more in NXT UK. I actually think he could be in future contention for the WWE United Kingdom Championship, but maybe it's gonna happen someday. But yeah, I thought that match still, though, was really good. I really enjoyed it. Afterwards, Radzi interviews him, and he talks about how his chances of winning the match and, his history with all the competitors in it. He goes through each one and how, they've injured him and stuff, but I really liked what he said about Dave Mastiff, how he's just a big heavyweight, and he's just cool, and he said he's going to win because of his talent. So I liked this. I thought it was good. And then Nina Samuels was backstage, and she talks about how she played Toni Storm because all she had to do was to get an NXT UK Women's Championship match, was to, talk about Toni Storm's past and bring up personal stuff. And she said that, Toni Storm played right into her hands as the director. But now she's going to become the producer and take the NXT UK Women's title. And fans are already sending her fan mail because they know the results of the match, and the show's going to end with her being the NXT UK Women's Champion. I actually thought it was a really good promo. I really enjoyed it, and I actually really enjoy Nina Samuels as a character and stuff. She's someone that's definitely improved since the first episode. I actually thought she just would have been enhancement talent, but she's actually becoming a pretty big player on the show. Then we had the next match. It was Mark Andrews versus Noam Dar. I thought it was a really good match. They both start doing chain wrestling moves to each other, and it was really back and forth. Noam Dar hits a really cool pump kick. Mark Andrews hits a really cool standing moonsault, which was, I thought pretty cool. And Mark Andrews hits the Stundog Millionaire. Noam Dar, goes after the leg of Mark Andrews, and they really go back and forth. Eventually, the finish comes in when Mark Andrews hits the suicide dive on the outside, and you know, um, Noam Dar sells his leg, and Mark Andrews thinks this is legit because of the previous match, and he feels bad because obviously of the injury scare and stuff. So Mark Andrews kind of holds back, and then Noam Dar, we find out, faked his injury, hits a clubbing blow to the back of the head of Mark Andrews, and then hits the Nova Roller for the win. And then that was pretty much the match. I actually enjoyed this, and I really liked the finish. Because I actually of Noam Dar winning in the fashion that he did, and it really worked. Now, obviously, I think Noam Dar was supposed to get the win the first time around, but obviously then that injury scare happened, so they changed plans. But I actually like this, and he even did an interview backstage talking about how he should get an Oscar performance for that, and he even says the question was I really injured the first time? So I really like this. Which, yeah, he really was into the first time. But I kind of like that, NXT UK is going to run with this. And I wonder if they're going to keep this feud going and have a third match, which I wouldn't mind. But yeah, I thought this was some really good stuff here. And then the Grizzled Young Veterans are backstage, and they get interviewed by Radzi. And Radzi asks them if they're going to grant Mustache Mountain a rematch for the NXT UK Tag Team titles. And James Drake actually talks. He's never talked before, and he actually speaks, and he said that this isn't a popularity contest. And that's really all he says, but it's still a pretty big deal that, James Drake actually said something, because he typically never talks. And then Zach Gibson says that they don't make the WWE Universe or Mustache Mountain don't make the matches, so it doesn't matter if they want it. It's them that make the match, so they decide who goes into the win. And then that was that. I like this. It builds future matches between or a future match between Mustache Mountain and Grizzled Young Veterans. I don't know if they're gonna do that match on an NXT UK Takeover special, or if they're gonna wait until an episode of NXT UK. Because based on what they did with the main event, I expect Mustache Mountain to win the belts at this point now. So yeah. And then it gets really weird. So it goes to commercial. When it comes back, it looks like that they were on like another day of tapings, because like the crowd was more into it, and Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness kind of were putting over the main event and stuff. So it was actually kind of weird. So it's as if they kind of took like one day of tapings and kind of meshed them together, like they taped some stuff out of order. Really was weird. But Rhea Ripley comes out to do a promo, and she talks about how she's the top woman in NXT UK, and she says that since they're in Scotland, she talks about how Piper Niven's a big deal there, and she says that if Piper Niven ever gets in the ring with her, it's going to be her biggest nightmare. And that was that. Nice, simple promo. I really wish they would kind of do more a little bit for this Rhea Ripley Piper Niven feud. I get you want to do little things, but it feels like that they're, they should have like a big intense feud, and that's like one of the problems with the not the performance center, but the WrestleMania Access shows, is they kind of took away the chance for them to really build up this match, because obviously they do the Access show for the fans. So yeah, and then Cassius Ohno's backstage, and he sees a camera guy, and he tells him to follow him, and he goes into Johnny Saint and Sid Scala's office, which if you go there, you could totally tell this isn't an office. It looks like some local like storage unit that's down wherever the arena is, and he wants to know if Sid Scala did anything. It took into consideration about him being the best England pure wrestler in the world. So Sid Scala said that they did, and he said that next week, which it actually is next week now because this is the most recent episode, he's going to go one-on-one with Jack Gallagher. And I'm actually all for that match. I kind of didn't expect that either, because Jack Gallagher, typically hasn't been showing up really on any NXT UK television, because, he does the thing in 205 Live, and it'd be too hard for him. But they actually got him this time, which is awesome. I wonder if he was just available because, like, the main roster was recently, and, Jack Gallagher as well, was recently just in the UK, so he was available for some tapings, so they did it. But I think it's going to be cool, and I actually kind of can't wait for... And then afterwards, Cassius Ohno even says, like, I've never faced him before, I can't wait to show him my excellent professional wrestling, and then he walks off. I really like I said before, this new, dick persona of Cassius Ohno in NXT UK, where he just thinks he's better than everybody. I think it's cool. And, I actually am looking forward to seeing Cassius Ohno versus Jack Gallagher. We've never seen that match before, mainly because they've never been in the same spot. Because like Cassius Ohno's been in NXT and Jack Gallagher's been in 205 Live, and they've never really meshed. They never really have come into contact with each other, and they've never been in the same arena really. So it's actually going to be pretty cool. And I think this is going to be the first time that Jack Gallagher is going to wrestle someone that's like not a cruiserweight. I mean, I know he wrestled Zach Gibson, and I guess he's not a cruiserweight, but still, it's still pretty cool. And this would be his first NXT UK appearance since I believe the Royal Rumble Access shows, which is pretty cool. All right, then we had the main event. It was a WWE United Kingdom Championship match. WWE United Kingdom Champion Walter versus Pete Dunne. This was an awesome main event. It was really awesome. This match though wasn't better than the Brooklyn match, but it was still awesome. I really liked how they had Walter tape his right hand, so that way Pete Dunne, when he goes for the fingers, it won't have as much effect on him. I thought it just kind of showed that he's smart enough from his matches, and it shows that the wrestlers are smart. They're not idiots like on the main roster. And they start chain wrestling each other, which was pretty cool. And this time it's more 50-50 than just Walter just dominating the whole time. And Pete Dunne goes for the fingers, and this time he goes for the right finger, the finger that's not taped up, and he tries to stomp on it, but Walter moves out of the way, and then Walter goes for a kick, but Pete Dunne catches it, and he hits a dragon screw leg whip, and he goes after the leg of Walter. Walter rolls to the outside, and then Pete Dunne goes after him. Walter hits a wicked chop to Pete Dunne, and all this does is piss off Pete Dunne, so he really goes after him. He puts his hand onto the steps, stomps on it, and he puts his hand and bends it over on the outside like this, and stomps on the elbow on the outside, which was pretty goddamn cool. Walter hits a couple of chops, and he misses the other one and ducks and goes into the post, and then that spot happens. And then Walter hits a wicked big boot on Pete Dunne. He rams him back first into the apron, and then he hits a wicked drop kick right into the barricade or the guardrail, which is really cool because a guy that size shouldn't be doing that. And then Walter gets the heat in this match. He really goes off on Pete Dunne, really targets the back of Pete Dunne, and then eventually, Walter makes a mistake, and he hits big boots, chop blocks, and stuff, and really sick chops. But then eventually Pete Dunne hits a forearm that just takes Walter right down, right in one swish, which is pretty cool. And he does the when Walter Irish whips him into the corner. Pete Dunne, catches himself on the turnbuckle and flips back and hits an enziguri under Pete Dunne and starts him on a comeback. And they really start to go back and forth at this point. Walter gets Pete Dunne in a Boston Crab. Pete Dunne gets to the ropes. Pete Dunne gets Walter in an armbar. Walter gets to the ropes, and Pete Dunne, Walter hits a German suplex, but Pete Dunne lands on his feet and he kicks Walter on the side of the head, which was really cool. And Walter goes for a splash. Pete Dunne counters into a wicked forearm, and then Pete Dunne has a triangle choke. Walter goes for a powerbomb, but Pete Dunne, and the same way that he pretty much beat him at NXT Takeover in New York, but this time Pete Dunne counters into a Hurricanrana. Walter hits another wicked big boot, a really sick chop to the back of the head, and he goes for the powerbomb, but Pete Dunne counters it. He hits the bitter end into the wishbone submission move, and you think that Pete Dunne's got the match won, but however, Fabian Eichner comes out, pushes the rope towards Walter so that way he can reach it easier, and he gets his leg on the rope, and the referee's upset at Fabian Eichner. He goes and yells at him, and the referee's distracted, and Marcel Bartel comes out, hits Pete Dunne in the back of the head with the title, and then Walter hits the power bomb onto Pete Dunne for the win and retains the UK title. But we're not really sure who if Walter knows about this interference or not, if they're just doing this. But then we really know once Walter, Fabian Eichner, and Marcel Bartel do Walter's pose together, and we basically know that this is now the new European Union. Everybody had talked about how they wanted to see this, and now we get it, and I'm happy about this. Um, Walter's a heel now, which I actually like. You know, we need to I think we've had such a babyface champion in NXT UK dominate the roster. I actually think it's time for a heel to really run roughshod in NXT UK, and it makes sense. You know, you kind of need some heels in NXT UK. You really don't have a lot of them. You have enough, but I feel like Walter being a heel would really lift the credibility, and I like it. And now you can really start to set up European Union versus Mustache Mountain in like a big 6-man tag team match, which is something I really want to see. Because based off this finish, I don't think Walter and Pete Dunne are done yet. No pun intended. Um, I think they're gonna do one more match, but I think first we're gonna get the 6-man match, and either European Union could win or British Strong Style could win. So yeah, it opens up the door for a lot of potential. Walter can wrestle now all the babyface in NXT UK. And this makes me definitely think now that Dave Mastiff is going to win the 4-way match and face Walter, which that would be a hell of a match, I think, too. So that was NXT UK. I actually thought it was a pretty damn awesome show. The 3 matches that were on this show, I thought delivered. I liked, the main event. I liked Joseph Connors versus Travis Bank. I liked Mark Andrews versus Noam Dar. And I liked how it built in the next episode with Cassius Ohno versus Jack Gallagher's match getting announced. Um, Nina Samuels promo built to the women's title match next week, and I like the promo of the Girls Are Dead veterans. So I'm gonna give this episode. I thought it was a fantastic. I'm gonna give it an A. I really enjoyed it. It's not quite a perfect episode, but I'm gonna give it an A. If there's something I would take off, it's maybe Rhea Ripley's promo. I would have added maybe a few more minutes. I mean, I didn't hate the promo, but I would have added maybe a few more minutes to Pete Dunne versus Walter, just so that way we could really get it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and No One the Talking YouTube channel. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.